Right, so today I'm talking to Elliott Peak. Hi,
Hello.
how are you doing, Elliott?
I'm good. I'm very well.
Good. So I think this is the third time we've done this.
Is it?
Yeah, because you were one of the very, very early ones. But for people who don't know who you are, and shame upon them,
Shame upon them.
mm, what do you do?
Uh, well, what's- I guess you could call me a bass player by trade, but I also do a lot of sound engineering and the odd bit of DJing here and there. It's just kind of whatever the kind of world throws at me, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I like this, and this is actually one of the reasons I asked you if you'd come back on because you were saying that you were doing a lot of DJing,
Yeah,
and and I thought, right, yeah, because I think when I first interviewed you, you were playing in the Toons,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you were doing the sort of, I think you just finished one of those Scandinavian
yes,
dress up as the Great Gatsby type
yeah, yeah. There's
disco
a lot
thing, which is a bit of a
of
strange,
odd gigs.
yeah, strange sort of mix of things. And I caught up with you at Blues Camp this year, um, and so yeah, it was quite because I haven't seen you for a while, had I?
I know
So
it has been ages. I just
yeah, yeah,
showed up
yeah,
the
and
blue.
we're actually got the same hairstyle now,
Yeah.
and
And how
which is
fetching
fine.
it is.
Eh?
And how fetching it is.
And how fetching it is, absolutely, yeah. Um, so tell me about what you're doing as a rough sort of overview now.
So at the moment, I do most of my work with a company called Bougie Music, which is a wedding music agency. So I do most of their gigs as a bass player, sound engineer, and DJ, all in one package,
Right.
which can be a lot sometimes. And then I'm also the inquiries manager for the agency, so I deal with all the like chatting with clients, doing all the sales and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what takes up most of my time at the minute. And then odd things come in here and there where I'll go and do like some lighting like a originals band, possibly if they want me to, or I'll just go do like just a random gig with some friends or whatever, just things come up and I'll just give them a go.
Hmm. Hmm. So I'm assuming you're doing a lot of traveling.
Not as much as I used to. I've limited how far
Oh, okay.
that I want to travel. So that's definitely become a lot nicer because I used to just drive around the whole of the UK and
Yeah, I know
just
you did.
and
That's
just
why I said
accept
it.
it. Um, I think I drove down to Ilfracombe and back in one evening once,
That is nuts.
which was absolutely insane.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't tend to drink Red Bull, but that night I had
yeah.
probably.
You had to. So is that because you're now in a position to be able to say, I'm not going to travel that far, or you just, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's enough kind of work around London and the surrounding counties
yeah,
that I don't really have to do that
right.
as often. There's sometimes I'll have to travel like a little bit further, but then I'll just get a hotel or whatever, and it's not too bad. But for the most part, there's enough going on in the local area.
So, obviously, a lot of people would be interested in knowing how you got there to this sort of level, because there's a whole sort of different types of people who listen to this. Because I mean, the main, as you probably know anyway, the reason I do this is I'm quite nosy about what people do.
Yeah.
But I've always thought, well, the best way to learn about anything is to, and I suppose actually part of this is the sort of NLP stuff, really, about modeling. This idea that if you want to get good at something, you need to find somebody who can do the thing and work out what they do,
Mm-hmm.
which seems obvious on the surface, but in actual fact, it's not what people do, is it? Um, you know, what generally happens with people is that they sort of pick up bits and pieces from all sorts of places, and sometimes for people who actually don't do the things, but they might write a book about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
or whatever. Or teach it at university is another good one, actually. I'm not saying that those people don't do the stuff, but they obviously don't have the type of experience. If you spoke to somebody who's like yourself, who's doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
you can tell them lots of things that are so minute detail, and also that sort of, I suppose, where you could use the word hack now. You just think, well, you don't do that, you do this type of thing.
Yeah.
The sort of thing.
There's a lot of videos on YouTube of people that don't really know what they're talking about.
Exactly. And as I'm talking about that, I've just done a book, but obviously, so about books. Anyway, but the point about it is about learning from people's experiences.
Yeah.
Which is, as I say, the NLP thing. You find somebody who's really good at doing the stuff, and then you ask them. And it's not really the questions about where they intellectually answer. It's about the things where you sort of get under the skin about what it is that people do. And again, as you know, that's what we've done at Blues Camp.
Yeah.
You learn a lot in those sort of conversations that you might have had with, Sam Kelly, for instance.
Yeah.
Where Sam just goes, well, I sort of do this. And it's like, oh, okay.
I think there was one time where Sam was talking about how to structure the structure in a band, and he was like, "This isn't a democracy; it's a dictatorship. There needs to be someone in charge."
Yes,
and that that resonated with me quite a lot.
Well, absolutely. So that's a good one. Let's just talk about it, because I mean, Sam's a lovable guy, but he is the sort of guy that you wouldn't really want to cross, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it is absolutely true. You do actually, and actually, Mike, who runs this camp with me, he said it needs to be sort of a benign dictatorship, and I've quite liked that idea that somebody's got to be in charge.
Yeah,
you can't just have it as some sort of, I don't want to use the word socialist, but because I'm quite left wing, as you know. But,
yeah.
But that sort of idea that somebody's got to go, right, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But they've also got to be open to people saying, coming up with their suggestions for things, or you delegate something to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And a band's a really good example of that, isn't it? Where if you're writing a song, you might say to the bass player, well, there's this sort of idea, but the bass player should go, yeah, but what about this? And you go, yeah, that's much better. I love that one. You give ideas out, but you really want them to come back with something.
Yeah.
Something better, really. And that's the thing. So, so this thing about the story then, we've sort of gone off at a tangent. Let's go back to the thing about the story. So how did you arrive at that? Because I think really I need to pick it up from, if you don't mind me saying, from when you sort of left because I mentioned the band, the Toons.
Yeah.
When you sort of
forcibly left.
Okay, tell me, because now you've done pretty well, as far as I can see, doing what you're doing.
something else anyway. I just wanted some form of growth because I'd been doing that same thing for a while, and I'm
Yeah.
actually at a point now where I'm kind of looking for the next, like
Yeah.
the next kind of growth. But um, I just happened. It was luck, really. I just happened to meet someone on Facebook of all places who
What?
needed. I know who needed a bass, well, a musician or bass player, guitarist, whatever, who also owned a PA system, um, and some lighting,
Yeah.
which I didn't have any of. But I just went, oh, this is a great opportunity. I might get busy at this. I've got nothing else going on. I might as well give it a go. And just went, hi, yeah, I've got all this stuff. Um, let let me know, let me know what you need, and then just kind of went out and bought everything I needed for this gig. Just took a chance on it, really.
Mm.
Um, and bought a PA system. Did a lot of studying to learn how to do all this stuff, like how to sound engineer, which is still a rolling process for me because there's always new things to learn. There's better ways, more efficient ways to do things. So I'm always constantly trying to look for the next, best thing to be doing. But I just went out and bought all this stuff on on the off chance that I might get loads of work from it, and then ended up getting loads of work from it.
Well, in actual fact, you would get a lot of work from that, wouldn't you? Because you would know that you always need a PA,
Yeah,
and there's always going to be somebody who needs a PA.
yeah.
And if you're quite happy to go and do the PA, which is another thing, really, isn't it?
I enjoy doing it because I know that I'll get a good sound on my gigs.
Yes, but if you're
Whereas
playing,
sometimes you show up and someone has absolutely no idea what they're doing, but they've got
exactly. And how many times have you gone to venues where they've got somebody doing the PA and you end up with a shocking sound?
yeah, yeah.
And you think, what on earth is going on? Because you
Sounds
then
good.
know that there must be a load of places that will employ you to do their sound, because if this guy there is being paid to do a sound,
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of the next kind of thing I'm looking to do is kind of lean more into the live sound stuff
Oh,
because
okay.
that's what I'm finding really interesting at the moment.
Oh,
But
that's so
I love
preempted.
playing bass.
Yeah, yeah,
But I'm kind of trying to lean more into that,
yeah.
that live sound engineering world.
Yeah, and really the thing is that you're offering a service to somebody's problem,
Mm-hmm.
aren't you? And actually, I would say that's true of bass playing as well, really, because the guitarists are to a penny, aren't they? Really, if you think about it. But bass players and drummers,
Yeah.
they're always in, and people who are versatile. So, like you were saying, because you got involved in something with I'm assuming is this guy who contacted you. Was
Mm-hmm.
he a drummer,
No, keyboard player.
keyboard player? What was the little project that you had where there was just two of you?
Oh, that was like a DJ.
Yeah, that was. I thought it was really really interesting
Yeah,
what you were doing.
that was fun, but it's that's no more.
No, but the
Um,
point about that is that there are always these things that open up doorways, aren't there?
yeah,
If you're willing to just sort of think differently.
yeah, that was a lot of hard work and a lot of learning about how Ableton works, which is a
Oh God,
digital
don't even
audio workstation thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And learning how to like loop live stuff live to make dance tracks and
yeah.
like
But that'll be useful in
keeping
the
everything
future.
in.
I'm sure
Yeah,
that'll be useful.
yeah, it was a it was a lot of work. And then we did two gigs and then then went our separate ways.
Yeah, but you've learned a lot from that, so that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, so you got the PA, you got the gear, you went out and you started doing the stuff. So were you playing for this guy, or were you just supplying equipment for it, or?
Playing. So I started off just playing and not supplying any PA just to kind of learn everything. This also taught me how to sight read. because
that's really good. Right. Tell us
everything was charted out with dots and arranged. Like there was just like all the songs were just big medleys, and it was all the bass lines were charted out. So I had to step up my game in that respect as well. I've been learning to sight read at university, but I'd never had anything.
No, and it's
where
not
I
until
needed
you.
to be like,
It's not. Yeah, it's not until you're going to be paid.
yeah,
Is that not true?
yeah, you know,
Because I've often said to people about motivators. You need a motivator.
yeah,
I was doing I don't know what it was. I was somewhere in Wales. I was involved in something or other. Anyway, I teamed up with this guy, this friend of mine. But he had been an actor, and I had to learn some lines. And I said to him, "Okay, what's the trick, Aaron?" Because he'd been a second to John Malkovich in something or other,
cool.
understudy to him. And he looks a bit like John Malkovich. So I said, "What's the secret?" I said, "Because I can learn lyrics." He said, "But, there's a lot of words here." He said, "Well, he said, being paid. That is the secret." And I've always thought, yeah, that is actually true. So you need a motivator. So, and I think with sight reading, that is absolutely the thing, because you think, well, I've got to do it.
Otherwise, it's just really boring.
Yeah, of course it is. You need something that makes that happen, don't you? And I think that's also true of many other things when you have to learn stuff. If you know you're being paid to do it.
Yeah, if you've got a good work ethic, you'll sit down and do it.
Well, you would do if you're being paid, though.
No, I've met some people that
Yeah, but you won't
they're
get
being paid, but they won't get paid again.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It won't carry on.
Yeah.
So I think it still is the money, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
So how long did you think it took you? Because obviously you had a bit of grounding because you'd done it at university, but there's a difference between reading and sight reading.
Yeah.
Because anybody can look at something and work it out, but actually sit and sight read.
Well, I guess it would depend on the difficulty of the piece I'm reading. There will still be things I can't sight read. If it's all just 16th notes, it's just that's not happening. I have to sit down and work that out.
Yeah, of course you would. Yeah, but that's like saying, well, can you read me this book?
Yeah.
Out
loud,
these people, and then depending on what you're reading, But
I'd say within a year,
yeah,
I could sight read to the level that's needed.
Yeah,
of like pop songs.
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? You need, because I think if you're playing songs on charts and the songs might change. Because obviously, even doing a show, you can just learn it.
Yeah.
Can't you? Once you sat down and read it. But if the show's going to have different songs pop up that you've got to read.
Yeah. Here's the new chart. Like the MD on these gigs will chart out if we have to play the first dance, if it's a wedding, or if like the client's chosen a particular song, the keyboard player will chart out the arrangement, and then you don't see that until the day. So it's just like, there you go, read that. And it's usually, it's most of the time it's fine because it is just a standard pop tune. I did have to sight read This Will Be an Everlasting Love, that Natalie Cole tune. The bass playing in that's mad.
Right.
At the end. But it's good fun.
Right. Yeah, but they'd know that if they were charting that out, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They would know if something's difficult.
Yeah.
It's like saying, giving it to a saxophone player, you can chart something out for a saxophone player. But if you've charted out, I don't know, Jerry Mulligan's saxophone solo or something, or something like that. It'd be
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
you
Good
know,
luck.
yeah, absolutely brilliant. So, so this is good. So there's a lot of learning curves, right?
Yeah, there
Um,
were
and and here's an interesting thing. I would say, going back, putting my proverbial NLP hat on, right? That is something you've done all along, because when you started learning bass, you really threw yourself into that. Um, because it didn't take you very long before you were actually really playing well.
yeah,
And I can say that because I know,
because you're there.
because I was there. Um, so within about, a couple of years, you were doing some really good things, weren't you? I mean, like you were doing some really good
Yeah,
stuff.
best song. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. And I think that's the point. So you're obviously, that's part of your mentality of how you operate. That you have a challenge, and you had a friend who played, I think, at school that you was really
yeah, yeah,
good, who acted as a sort of a, helped, I would say helped you, but the fact that you were both improving rapidly, that makes,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Coming up together. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's important. Again, these are all the type of things I think for people they need. There's certain strategies that people can adopt, and there's certain
Mhm.
strategies they realise that maybe that's the way they operate. Because I think there's another thing in learning. You have to do something that's, and again, still with that sort of NLP vibe. I've always found it's better to find something in yourself, or if you're working
Mhm.
with somebody, find out that thing that somebody's already got. It might not be in the area that they'd go, oh, it's to do with music. It might not be in the area of music.
Yeah,
It might be the fact that they are, you use the word work ethic. I would say organization,
hmm,
right? So you might find that you're very organized at something that's nothing to do with music. Because whenever I see this, it's never just it's never just in one place.
yeah,
So I'll give you an example of this. If you know somebody who's disorganized in their thinking, they it will not just be that they can't sit down and plan a trip out. They won't be able to organize the washing up when they do the cooking.
yeah, yeah,
It's like that. It's everywhere.
yeah. I found that during lockdown, I kind of discovered this during lockdown where I couldn't do music anymore. So I realized I was defining myself by music rather than by the skills that I have that allow me to do music well. If
Oh,
that
that's
makes
very good. That's very interesting. This is basically what I'm saying, but
yeah.
you've actually sort of expressed that in another way. So tell me a little bit more about that. How did you notice that when you how did you get to that point where you went,
Well,
hang on a minute?
I was just getting very depressed that I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. And I think I was just listening to a podcast
Not one of
that
mine.
that said that potentially it was a while ago now. Um, and that just kind of made me go, oh, okay, yeah, that makes a
Yeah,
lot of sense. Like
yeah,
I'm hardworking, I'm organized,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
I like to throw myself into a challenge rather than I'm a musician.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because in actual fact, when I ask that, I often say this anyway when I interview people, depending what sort of people I interview. But the first question that I ask people is a trick question, really. I say, "What do you do?" Because in actual fact, you aren't what you do at
No,
all. Um, but in certain ways, you are what you do, right? So we tend to go, "I am a so and so," Where in actual fact, as you say, it's the skill set that lies behind that skill set.
Yeah.
Personality, characteristics, or whatever it is that you bring into the world, if you like, because you're here, enables you to do that thing. So that's what you were saying. You realized, this is what, and this enables me to be a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, again, peeling that stuff back for people, if they want to be good at something, it is an element of finding what it is that you do. I spoke about this on a previous little solo podcast because I had a lad turn up who has got to like sort of grade 6, grade 7 with somebody else who I know well. And they sent them to me because they were trying to organise about what it was that they wanted to do with music. And he was looking at going to a particular college and stuff and all the rest of it, because typical of me, I threw a sort of something left field in. And I said, right, okay, here's a piece of paper and a pen. I want you to write a list of all the things you're good at. Everything.
Yeah.
Everything that you can think of. And it doesn't take long before people run out of ideas. And I said, it's not just to do with music either. So you might think, well, I'm really good at cooking, or I'm good at running, or I'm good at talking to people, right? Or whatever. So you make this list, and then I said, well, okay, now you've done that. I said, you can add to that as well, can't you? Can you make a list of what you're not good at?
That's tricky.
Right. So then, he sits down and does that. And then I said, right, and now the next one is I want you to make a list of, now you won't be able to do this completely now. I said, but make a start on this. Make a list of everyone you know. Everyone you know. And I said, you've got to remember, these ideas came before people had Facebook friends and all the rest of it, right? But it's all the people that you knew when you were at school and all the rest of it. Because basically what you're going to be doing is you're creating a network. Obviously, the things that are good, that you're good at, you need to sort of draw them into the area of what it is that you're doing. So, for instance, if you're interested in music and you think, actually, I'm really good building things and stuff like that, you can repair things then, can't you? Right? If you're good at talking to people, then that gives you start to see, oh, hang on a minute, I could, there's all these other skills start coming into play. So it's sort of a little bit like in the thing. And I said, now, and the things that you're not good at, right? You've probably got some strategies for dealing with the things that you're not good at. Because every time you run up against something that you're not good at, you've got some way of either avoiding them or actually getting around the problem.
Yeah.
So I said, the point is that when you meet other people that have the same problems as you, you've got a strategy that you can help them with. So interestingly, that's quite a powerful set of things. So, okay, coming back to what you were saying about lockdown, and then you started to look at, reframe.
Yeah.
What it was. What was the thing that really struck you in that process?
I think the thing that really struck me is that I don't have to do music. Because I didn't.
This is very zen, isn't it?
I didn't really play bass for that whole period, really.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'd pick it up and kind of go, oh yeah, I remember this, but then I wouldn't really do it. And I just spent like 2 years gardening.
All right.
Really.
Yeah.
Brief periods of work where I just like pick up random jobs. But it just kind of spent the time just gardening, which was really nice.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Um, because there's a lot of things within that. Because I said it was very zen, right?
Mm.
Isn't it? You know, being a great bass player by not playing, right? It's that sort of, creating a paradox. But of course, doing things like gardening, there's a sort of an organic thing that's happening when you watch how nature works, and you think, well, that is exactly what happens with music. You get a seed of an idea,
Mm.
and it germinates into something, and it's in an ecosystem. You don't the thing doesn't just grow there because it grows there because everything in that area that thing grows facilitates the growth of that, and it has to compete.
Yeah.
So you can look at all these things and you can see, you can imagine why these sort of Zen monks used to walk around, sweeping and sort of stuff like that, and meditating on the idea of sweeping, on the
Yeah.
face of it, it seems completely nuts, but of course it isn't, because you see processes of thinking that goes on that is in everything. So I think really you managed to do something, I think probably quite valuable there, didn't you?
Yeah. And it just gave me something to focus on and work on as well, because now I have all this plant knowledge in my head that I didn't have before. That's kind of come from nowhere because I really went hard into this.
See,
Uh,
there's another. Here we go again. See, it's the
yeah,
same thing, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. I didn't really realize that
No, but you won't, because
now.
that's the
But
thing. We don't realize what we do
yeah,
because we're doing it, right? But you start going, well, that's the same process, really. Whether that's gardening, learning how to use PA system and sound engineering,
yeah,
learning Ableton, and learning how
yeah,
to sight read.
yeah, yeah.
So I
Okay,
think
yeah,
you know, I think that's an interesting thing, isn't it? Okay, so lockdown finishes.
yeah.
You got lots of wonderful gardens that you've been curating or whatever, right? Um, how do you get back into doing? How do you get back on the ladder?
Well, there was a lot of catch up to do with in the wedding industry because everyone couldn't get married for 2 years. So then everybody wanted to get married in at the end of 2021,
Mm.
really. So that August was absolutely nuts. One, because people were just going wild because they were allowed to be outside.
Yes,
So they were just like fully into the party like I've never seen before. And
yes,
that kind of still happens.
yes.
Um, and it was just all the stuff that had been cancelled was now brought to this point, and all the stuff that had been booked in for this point was also happening at the same time. So it was just like
Mm.
from 0 to 100
Mm.
with the gigging, and then that just kind of like snapped me right back into it, and then I was, just trying my hardest to keep on top of everything, and then that's carried, and then I moved to Essex in 2022, and just spent that entire year working just as hard as I could with loads of different things.
Mm. Cool. Um, yeah, there's a lot of stuff within this, isn't there? When we did Blues Camp when the lockdown had finished, and it
Yeah.
was almost like we weren't sure whether it was quite going to happen, because there was this sort of thing about, is it going to be okay? It was that period of
Mm-hmm.
time, or is it suddenly going to be like, oh, I can't do that now?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was amazing because we didn't have a massive amount of people because some people were too frightened, but the ones who came, oh my god, talk about they just threw themselves in, and I've
Yeah,
never seen it like that before.
massive release.
And the school would that we run it at, which you know well, the food was incredible because we were the only ones there, and they were desperate to do. So the food was just amazing. They just went overboard, you know.
Right.
Um, and yeah, so it was like that's that thing about you don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah.
But of course, it's now come back again. That was amazing.
Mm.
It was amazing to watch that with people.
Yeah.
And maybe there's still an element of that at the moment.
I think so.
Because
Yeah.
there's always this sort of thing, you know, what's going to happen next? Or they'll come up with some other variant that, you know, gets pumped around the internet. It's like, oh, yeah, you know, like those things have never been out there.
Yeah.
It's just that we never knew, you know. Yeah. So maybe that keeps everybody on their best behavior. Well, not their best behavior, you know, but
The wildest behavior.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they actually enjoy themselves, which is really what it's all about anyway, really. It's face it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with all the gigs that were happening, was it really was it bass playing or was it everything at this point?
For the most part, I always play bass and do sound and DJ. That's just kind of what my gig is at the moment. My main gig anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I enjoy
Yeah.
because I know I'll do a good job. I know it'll sound good. I know because we all use in-ears. So I have to do that for it's an 8-piece band, so I have to do that for the
Right.
musicians as well. Yeah. And I know that'll sound good as well because they'll all say, "Oh, that in-ears sound great." Like,
yeah,
and that's kind of I find that rare when I play with other bands that it'll sound good in my ears.
Yeah,
For the most part. You know, it sometimes, but I just know if I do it, it's going to be it'll be how I like it. You know,
yeah.
not everyone's ears are the same. So, but yeah, so it's a lot of work, but it's good fun. I enjoy the challenge.
And because the thing is, you doing the DJing as well.
Yeah,
That's a no-brainer for people that are booking a band.
yeah. It's like it's an add-on package that most of the time is just there because no one wants to listen to random Spotify songs.
No, but also if you wanted to get a DJ in, it would cost you a lot of money.
Yeah. So you might as well do it yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. So tell me about the DJing. When did you really start doing that? Or was that because I mean, DJing and putting records on is not the same thing. Well, not
Yeah. I guess at the beginning I wasn't really DJing. I was just a glorified iTunes, just putting songs on faster than iTunes would. It was just something that interested me at the time. I just bought myself a DJ controller. I already had a load of songs from like wedding-y style songs from doing weddings. So just decided to buy a DJ controller and teach myself how to do that. And it's not. I think as a musician, it's not particularly hard to pick up because you already understand rhythm and you already understand harmony.
Yeah.
So you can pick up how songs can mesh together. Sometimes you have to get a bit creative with it, but for the most part, you kind of understand how it works. Whereas someone who's coming out from like, they just want to do it at the weekend and they spend their time doing something else. They have to learn how all this stuff works, which can lead to different creative choices, which is quite interesting.
Yes.
Because
again, it's a bit like doing a set list for a band, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like if you go and see a band, I I used to be able to. I don't know if I could do this now, but I used to be able to go right. I'd hear the first couple of numbers and I go, okay, they're going to be doing this number, that one, and this one because you knew once the band started
Yeah.
what their set was going to be. And I got so good at it, I could almost predict the next song. And I've done this a few times, and you think that's not a good thing, is it? Really? If you can, if I could sort of
Yeah.
do that. So, and it must be true with DJs to some extent. You could be thinking, well, this song, and whatever. But of course, it gets exciting when you start taking songs and segueing,
Hmm.
like you would do with a band, and you take things and you don't put them. You segue out of a song before the bit that you expect coming next,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
return to that later.
Yeah. If you can
And
be,
all sorts of things like you would with a live band. I mean.
yeah. So in July this year, we had a 3 day event in Portugal with the band, which was lovely. But I was DJing at the end of the night for 3 hours until like 2 a.m. on like controllers that I'd never seen or used before, having to use different software, um, with none of my like when you're DJing, you can set up you can like mark points of songs and stuff so that you know where you are and you can jump to those points if you want to. But I didn't have any of that with me because I'd had to. These decks weren't the ones that worked with the software I knew how to use, so I had to teach myself how to use this new software on the day, and then just kind of guess my way through it, which was actually the most fun I've had DJing in like a long time because I was purely having to improvise, and it was a lot, and it was a lot of fun. It's the part of the gigging that I do at the moment that I find most tiresome because the band goes off and chills out in the break room, and I'm still there trying to keep the party going.
Mm.
And sometimes I just want to go, I'd like to go sit down and have a chat
Yeah, yeah, of
with the
course.
band. I'd like to have a break. But so it gets a bit tiresome sometimes. But this time it was just a lot of fun having to just think on my feet and improvise rather than like relying on all my old and tried and tested, you
Yeah,
know, stuff.
yeah,
Which doesn't happen. That doesn't happen that often. But it was stressful at the beginning, and then once I got going, I was like, oh, yeah, I can do this. It's fine.
yeah. So you don't go out and DJ just as that.
No, no, that's not. I have done in the past. It's just not something I'm particularly invested in doing. It's
No, no,
purely
no,
just
no,
an add-on.
no, no, no. It's just I've met a couple of people who just go off and DJ in. There was one guy who went over to China and did on a regular. He's a German guy.
Yeah,
And you think, okay, fair amount of money in this. You just sort of go off to China and do a couple of sessions.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, yeah, and it's sort of strange because the sort of DJing was in its absolute well, it was, discos was it at its beginnings when I was a teenager, and
mm,
I couldn't quite work out how what the appeal was, because it was just starting out. Somebody was putting records on, and now it's obviously become something totally different from that.
yeah. It's its own
Originally.
creative.
Yeah, yeah,
It's its own
I know.
creative thing. Like watching someone who's really good at it
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean.
is
Well, did you know that there are exams in DJing now?
I did not know that. I knew there were
Yeah,
DJs.
yeah, yeah. The LCM actually have got an examination syllabus for DJing.
That's funny.
And I did sort of put my name tentatively up to sort of examine for that. But
Okay.
again, that's like, yeah, I'm not really sure how good I'd be at doing that. Um,
There's so many different ways to do it as well. I'm not sure how you. I
well,
guess
it's
you have.
marking it, isn't it?
I guess yeah. I guess you'd set them a specific. It's like setting a scale, isn't it? Like you have to be able to play a G major scale. You have to be able to mix
Yeah, but again, how
using
you're
this
mixing things.
technique to go from this BPM to this BPM. How would you do it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's the, but then it comes down to sort of your personal preference about what it is.
Yeah.
Because that is not, whenever you're doing examining, they want to always take that out of the equation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you're just following the criteria. Well, you're dealing with something that's really difficult to assess, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really yeah. It's you've got all of music
Yeah,
to play with.
you have, and yeah, it's a bit, I don't know.
It's an odd one.
Anyway, I'll let you know if I do any.
Yeah, I'd like to sit in on an exam.
Well, the thing is, I, I won't be I won't be the worst of the examiners at being able to mark for things like that because it's open to people who are just doing cello and all sorts of stuff. Examining
Right.
classical instruments, and I think they might find that quite difficult for marking. But there we go. It's all part of the fun. Anyway, so what ideas have you got for the future? Then you're sort of saying you've got your eye. You're thinking about what's the next thing of how you progress.
Yeah.
Any ideas?
What potentially just kind of leaning into the sound engineering thing
Yeah,
and being a competent sound engineer and kind of working my way up because there's a lot that don't really know what they're doing and I feel like I could do that better. Um, it's just diving into that. I just haven't started diving into that yet. Um, I haven't really thought about it all that
no,
much
but I
yet.
think a lot of these things are often about situations presenting themselves, aren't they?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
kind of I'm kind of wait not waiting well waiting for an opportunity or just when an opportunity arises I will kind of throw myself into it, but it's also about creating the space for those opportunities to come at you rather than
yeah,
just like if I just sit here in my bedroom
yeah, exactly. But
then
it's
no
like
opportunity will come my way unless I get really
exactly. Well,
really
it's
lucky.
like this idea of luck, isn't it?
Yeah,
You got to be there.
yeah, exactly. You've got to be kind of creating your own
You,
luck.
yeah, absolutely. Well, there's that. This Picasso's thing um, about inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when inspiration comes, she wants to find you busy. In other
Right.
words, you're not going to sit around and be inspired.
Yeah,
You've got to be working
yeah.
to be inspired. And I think that's a good sort of thing that,
Like the action motivation kind of
yeah, yeah,
cycle.
well, of course it is.
It's like
It's all
take
about,
action, then you get motivated rather than
yeah,
waiting
yeah,
to be
yeah, yeah,
motivated
of course it
to
is.
take action.
It's movement, isn't it? It's like this, maybe that's that thing. It's like money, money has to move. If you think about economic systems, it's about the movement of money. When money sits still, it's not actually doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really being money. Money is that sort of movement thing. And you could sort of say, well, that's the same thing about creativity and learning. It's all about movement of that thing.
Yeah,
You know, um, otherwise it doesn't. You know,
yeah.
it just doesn't work, does it? Cool. So, okay, well, we've been talking for nearly an hour, so that's a pretty good game.
Oh, great.
That's really good. That's great. And it's good to catch up as well.
Yeah,
Lots
yeah.
of things in there for people. We're sort of like this should be a compulsory listening for kids at music college, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Don't
You
you
just kind
think?
of dive in
Because
and
because it's like a lot of things, isn't it? Because you were at college and um, you would you obviously met a lot of interesting characters there, you know. Because I
yeah.
think if I remember rightly, weren't you? Didn't they want to put you up a year or something? You ended up doing.
I ended up doing a lot of the second year performance stuff just because there
Yeah,
weren't enough bass players.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. But you were good enough as well.
because there never is, and I was good enough to kind of do
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Which actually means that there are a lot of people that aren't good enough.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
and I think it was also it's also like an attitude thing as well.
yeah,
Like being nice and being friendly and being, you know, just easy to work with rather than like being difficult. If I was being difficult, it would have been like, go away.
yeah.
I'll ask that person.
Well, this is one of the things, isn't it, that we often get is this idea of the diva, as if that
Yeah.
goes with the territory. And it's like, no, it doesn't actually. Because
No,
it's like you're
no
saying,
one
you
wants
know,
to
if
look
you
at the
haven't done
diva.
the work to be the sight reading bass player, you only get the one gig,
Yeah.
you know. And it's the same with the diva. They might get one gig or two gigs, but in the end, people think, oh, I just don't really want that.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
stuff.
So it's definitely great.
Yeah, good. Right. Well, thanks very much then. It's good to
Yeah,
chat
nice chat.
and
Yeah.
all the best with what you're doing. Keep in contact. And I'll put some stuff so people can chase you up.
Cool.
You'll have to send me some details. So,
Oh yeah, yeah, we'll do.
all right. And
Cool.
if they're getting married or whatever, and they want your is it 8-piece band? That's a big band.
Yeah, well, it varies from a 6-piece to a 10-piece. So I had a 10-piece gig the other day that I was doing sound for. That was a lot. A
Yes, that's a lot of bodies on stage as well.
lot of bodies on stage, and I'd never sound engineered a trombone before, so I was just kind of guessing at that point.
Yeah, but not many people are good at
No,
brass players. Will tell you that, won't they? Know what sort of sound they end up with. You know. Yeah, that's cool stuff. All right, mate. It's good. So don't disappear. We'll say goodbye now.
yeah, well,
Cheers. Bye.
cool. See ya.